go get more rockets. Oh, shit. Fly on by, buddy. The old Top Gun maneuver. Oh, he bailed! Hang on. This guy does not deserve to live. We're coming back around. Suck up! That's what you get. Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today, the first Battlefield 5 January patch has dropped. I want to give you my first impressions, fresh after playing it, and also talk about some of the Ninja patches that made it in that were not included in the patch notes. Now, from reading Reddit, you might think that this patch is the apocalypse of Battlefield 5, and that it's a huge disaster overall. I actually think the patch is great. I had a great first session playing with the patch. My performance felt better. Hearing player footsteps is amazing now. I can actually zero in on somebody at long range and hear somebody sneaking up next to me and turn quickly and engage them. This is something that I haven't really been able to do in Battlefield 5. Now you can. Going prone feels a lot better. Vaulting over objects feels a hell of a lot better. Zooming in with ADS feels smoother now thanks to the new setting in the options menu. There's been some interesting Ninja patches too. Flares have gotten a massive radius increase for the Recon class, so they're actually really good now. Use flares if you're the Recon class. I kind of wish they got two when they spawned in, but I guess in certain modes it might be overpowered. Certainly not in Conquest, but in some of the more linear modes like Breakthrough, they're pretty darn powerful now. Something that I didn't think was getting added in this patch, but the end of round score screen now shows you how much company coin you've earned, and as far as I can tell, it seems accurate. I was sort of keeping track of it and checking it at my armory between rounds. Now you know how much company coin you earned, whether it's through daily assignments, just your in-game point scoring, or other things. It should be accurate for most people. I know some people are still having problems with company coin and won't earn it. That really sucks, but if it's working for you, then it's got more intel and more details on how it works. When it comes to SMGs, I played with them a bunch to try and see if I could feel a big difference in terms of their ranged engagement and effectiveness. They feel a little bit better. They still don't do a huge amount of damage per second at those medium ranges. They're going to get out damaged by most other guns in the game. It doesn't feel like the medic has really stepped up in a major way overall, but the guns feel less frustrating to use at those further ranges. It's still going to be a run and gun hipfire class that can potentially ADS and deal with some targets at further ranges if you need to, but in a stand-up firefight, you're almost always still going to be at a disadvantage when using the medic SMGs, and you're going to feel that when playing the class. Some interesting changes. I hopped into a plane for a bit and noticed now when you repair in an aircraft, your mobility, or your agility rather, ability to turn quickly while repairing is incredibly slow. It actually got me killed hilariously as I was coming in for to resupply, and I hit the repair button and I just crashed into the ground because I couldn't pull up at all while repairing. So just be aware, if you're a pilot, you now cannot maneuver very much at all while repping. This is, I think, a good change overall, so you can't try and rep while mid dogfight basically, or if you decide to rep during a dogfight, you're basically going to be flying straight. So a good upgrade overall. I can't comment too much on the nuances of other airplane combat changes, but there's a good chance that there's a bunch of other changes in there that make a big difference in it. It felt good while flying. That might have been in part due to what I feel is a performance bump for me. I don't feel as many inconsistent frame rates when turning around and loading new objects in the game, which applies to both infantry combat and air combat. Hilariously, Frontlines was turned into an 8v8 game mode by accident. This had to do with some sort of naming thing in the game directory, and now when you play Frontlines, it's 8v8. I thought this was by intention at first. I played a round of it. It was actually pretty fun. It felt a bit more intimate, personal. The strategy felt more on point, but this was not by intention, so I think DICE is going to revert it back to 16 versus 16. Now, I think we as a community will discover a lot more of the little ninja changes and things that have affected the game, but I gotta say, overall, this patch has made the game just feel more polished. Like, player movement feels better. Audio, thank God. This is probably the biggest thing. Feels so much better. Just being able to hear soldiers, being able to tell how far away they are, how fast they're moving, when they stop moving. Like, I can just hear people running around now, and it's going to change so many things for players that have just been so aggravated by the chaotic fashion of Battlefield 5, where you can't hear players, nobody's spotting players, and people are just shooting you in the back all the time. That should happen less. It's not that it's not going to happen anymore. It should happen less. Visibility is still bad. As far as I can tell, they haven't made any changes to player visibility. I'm still getting shot by things that I can't see, but now I can at least hear them. You know, we're getting one of the senses back, right? Combine that with a kill cam that now actually shows you the player who killed you, where they are, follows them around for a little bit, and you now can hear players attacking you. And if you do get shot in the back by something you didn't see, well, you'll likely see it after death. This is a very big change to the overall grievances of Battlefield 5 for me. And DICE seems like they're really getting into some of the core issues. Now, if they can fix visibility for Battlefield 5 and fix some of the ongoing bugs like the company coin that's still broken for some people, and balance out air and ground combat a little bit better, this game will be solid. It's like a solid, polished Battlefield game is now within reach, in my opinion. This patch sort of made that more of a reality. The game was very buggy at launch. They made some patches that sort of fixed a few things, but this one is the first one where it's starting to feel like, okay, this game feels like it's getting polished now. It feels like it's going towards a final product. And I know it's a bit of a joke because we talk about this game like it's in a beta or it's an alpha or if it's the CTE version of the game. And I totally agree with that. This game is very much an unfinished product. It's what I said in my review. But it feels like we're almost at a finished place for the game. There's still some things that need to be fixed. One thing that I find is weird that hasn't been fixed is there's still the rubber band tree effect. It might be less severe. I was mostly playing on desert maps, so it was hard for me to tell. But that should have been fixed. That seems like it was accidentally added into the game because it wasn't there at launch. They added in these weird rubber band tree effects that go off when explosions go off near trees. It's still in the game. That should have been fixed in this patch. That's really unfortunate that it's not because it's super aggravating and distracting in many maps. Now, I was hoping, like I had my fingers crossed once I was reading on Reddit that a bunch of ninja patches had made it into the game. I was like, oh, maybe the bipod fixes got into the game and now bipods are going to work well, and that was just something they forgot in the patch notes. I'm sad to say that bipods are not fixed. They still feel very awkward. Prone feels better. You can go prone and not slide around and get bumped all over the place, so that's good. But bipods still feel like garbage. I had many instances of deploying the bipod, trying to aim down sights, having it undeploy, turning a little bit, having it undeploy. It still feels like garbage, and that needs to get patched in the game ASAP. The time to death experience still feels a bit chunky at times. I was playing in the initial servers with some people with very high pings, the 150s, 200s. And when I died to them, it would be instantaneous. So there's definitely still some chunky time to death stuff in there. David Sirland already said on Twitter that they had a big fix working for time to death, but he didn't confirm that it was going to be in this patch. So I don't think that made it into this patch. Hopefully the next patch that's coming out will have that TTD update to hopefully make that process a bit better. I tested out some of the semi-auto assault rifles that got a little bit of a damage nerf. For the most part, they still felt great. If you liked the 1916 before, you'll still like it now. If you like the Gewehr 43 before, you'll still like it now. But if you go for a bunch of leg and arm shots, well, you might not get the 3-shot kill. What will be really interesting is once the new Tides of War opens up with the chapter, whether or not those missions track properly. I know DICE has been working on fixing the mission tracking stuff, so that will be a big thing to test out once all the new content is in the game. Mission tracking and stuff not registering and stuff, that's very aggravating and it's pissed off a lot of the community. So the better they can get that working, the less grievances players will have when new content comes out. We can focus on the new content rather than the bugs that come with the new content. Again, this patch isn't perfect. It's created some bugs for some people. Some people have claimed that they've had a lot of server disconnecting and client crashing and stuff like that. It's possible things got worse for some people out there. I can only report on what I've experienced personally, and personally, the sound and performance upgrades and kill cam change, I won't call it an upgrade, we'll just call it a change, have all made the overall experience that much better. The SMG buff, I think I need to play around with it a bit more. A lot of people have said it's felt a lot better. I think it does feel better, but still, if you're annoyed with where the medic class sits on the food chain, you're probably still going to be annoyed post-patch. As always, thanks for watching. Get into the game for yourself, test out the patch for yourself, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.